We're back on the tractor here. Well, this is going to be pretty much all I'm working on until I order parts. What I've come up with is got these two flanges here where the exhaust mani goes in. When I take the muffler off, what I end up finding is a bunch more of this sort of shit here. All in the backside was hidden by this. You can see there's still some on that injector hold down. There's a bunch all around this plate for taking the injection pump off. It's just everywhere. I am to the point now where I want to clean this really well. This tractor is so compact in it. Everything sort of prevents you from cleaning off the engine really nicely. I want to have everything clean. Probably pop this exhaust mani off and then take some steel and make a flange that'll fit on here. And then we'll just bolt that flange on to prevent water from getting into here. Then we can take this all off and pressure wash that side. Oh no. Hey boys. Yeah. We're going to do the same thing on the intake side because I got to get into the back side of this pump. We got to undo these fuel lines and everything, so we might as well take this filter housing off and make a plate that goes over this intake runner, and then we'll be able to clean everything in there because I can just see through that hole there. There's a bunch of goop in there, and I know there's going to be a shit ton of smeg on the inside of this injection pump. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to try and find a plug to drain the coolant out of the block because, as you can see, to this point here, we should have coolant in the block, but the outlet to the water pump is up high, so the inlet to the water pump is up high, so there's still a lot of water in this block. So I'm hoping once I pull this pump off, I might be able to find a drain on there because we want to get that all cleaned out since we did all this. Come on, bro. Bud, truck doesn't. There, we got the muffler off and you can see what I'm dealing with. Like, look at that. That is not what we want to be working around. That might need a new exhaust mani gasket. I want to make sure this is all clean. You can see some oil on where that isolator was. Yeah, so we got to deal with that. That's no bueno. No bueno. This is all going to contaminate when we pull this valve cover off. Kind of went nutso-butso on this while I was offloading the videos to clear up memory. We got the exhaust mani off. We got the intake mani off. We got the fuel filter off. We've got the fuel lines off. I've got to plug these injector bores, or the tops of the injectors, out. Pulled a bunch of the wiring, can now go backwards. Did find an issue with that intake gasket. It was, see here where it wasn't lined. Where the hell is it? It's under here somewhere. It wasn't sealing, so we were getting moisture in here. That's why that was full of water. I mentioned that yesterday. That's a treat. Cleaned all my intake runners out so that there's nothing left in there. So there's nothing that could contaminate our pistons and everything. That drain there, I suspect, is for my coolant, so I can get the coolant out of this block. Exhaust manifold's off. That bracket is off. See how gungy this is. What I've done is taken exhaust manifold gasket, laid it over top of a piece of plate, marked it out with my silver pencil, and I'll cut one of these out, and I got to get a couple of new fasteners so that they're shorter, and that'll just be a thing that we keep around with the Mahindra tools. I don't think this will be the last time we get into this. I have a feeling we'll be probably doing a head gasket at some point. Seal it up. It'll take a little bit longer, but it's the right way to go. So I'm just trying to get stuff done, but I've got my wash plate built for the intake, which is just a piece of, I think, 4 mil plate, might even be 3.5 mil plate, 1/8 inch, I don't know. It goes on, and we'll put the gasket on, and then we'll get some shorter bolts and clamp that down. I did the 2 for the exhaust. I didn't come up with any of this stuff here. My buddy Albert, when I was doing a lot of equipment work with him, he had a lot of equipment, and he did a lot of equipment and OTR semi-type rebuild work on engines. He always had these plates set up for heads and just anything that you were taking apart. So if we take this cover off, you'd probably have one for that if we weren't going to use the cover. The backside of the injection pump, he'd have one for this as well. He'd have one for the starter. The reason he built these was when it comes to heavy equipment and stuff that he was working on all the time, you get to a point like this where you've stripped everything down. You pressure wash it before you start, then you strip everything down, and then you're still left with this crap everywhere. He didn't like to work on dirty equipment or send equipment back that was in worse shape than he got it, so he always pressure washed everything, and he'd build these for every single piece of equipment. He'd have common ones for like all the Caterpillar engines and all that, so we could put them on, take the machine, pressure wash the machine, take the machine apart, get to a point where it's dirty again. We'd pull everything off, clamp all these on, give it another pressure washing out. He had dummy plugs set up for your injectors. I'm not going to build those, but he'd have dummy plugs so we could pull those out and put dummies in, so I wouldn't have to, like, I got to plug these. He wouldn't have to do that. He had a dummy cap for most of the Cummins type deals there, because he did a lot of them. So he was set up to work on engines and clean them up, and he really thought this, like, because if you got to have the engine open for even a huge amount of time, because a lot of times when he was doing work for customers, they had heavy equipment but not a lot of money, so there'd be months between the work. So being able to seal up these holes for a prolonged period of time, he just liked to do it. We had a Ford, I think 8N tractor that we had the injection pump off, and we had that all plugged up. And he actually ended up sending the tractor back with the injection pump out because the guy needed it back, and he was going to put the pump on after we did the rebuild. So he just charged him for the plate until it came back. So this was his idea. I just think it's a wonderful, great idea. I don't know how long I'm going to have this all off waiting for parts to come. So I don't want to keep throwing a blanket over it because we got wind and crazy weather. I don't know what's going on here. So I built these up real quick. The problem I got to seal up these fuel lines here, and then these ports here, and then this port here, and then all these injectors. So that's something I still got to do. But these wash plates or dust plates, I call them wash plates because that's usually what I use them for. He used them for dust plates, but whatever you want to call them, that's what we always put together, because it prevents rodents and dust and dirt and water and getting into your cylinders while you're working on something and you don't know how long it's going to be down. So yeah, these wash plates or storage plates or dust plates, I don't know what you call them. Everybody at his shop called it something different. I like wash plates because I'm going to wash this all down again because I don't want to work on this dirty tractor. So that's basically what I threw together there. Just a bit of steel I had, and now I got to go down and get some bolts. But what I'm going to do now is I've got, this is our cable for the hood release. I've lubed this all up, got it working good. The biggest issue I got, because I got my grinder out right now, bouncing around. So this is way down low. This usually comes out right here. They put this stupid piece of angle here to prevent you from smacking it. Well, guess what? It doesn't work because stuff tends to break up in here anyways. So I'm going to put mine right up here. I'm going to leave this stuff here so that the next owner, if they really want to, they can put something back. It also doesn't hurt to have brackets down here for something in the future, who Lord knows what. But I'm going to put my hood release up here. That gives us this whole frame to protect it. And look at how this is pulling away. But then it's right here. Not as easy to grab as that because you got to reach your hand here, or you can go down right here and just pop that out. But I'm going to put it at the top because it just makes more sense. This is the second one we've busted the handle off of. That's a 1-inch piece of 2.5-inch flat bar. 1 inch by 1/8 inch flat bar, 2.5 inches long. I have some 1-inch flat bar, 1/8 inch. Like, I mean, I got this. So I'm gonna go 3 inches long just because I like to leave myself a bit of up. So I'm gonna cut that and get going. Okay, I've been trying to get the steering wheel off, and you can see there's holes in there that are an M6 by 1.5. I thought if I could torque those down against a piece of steel, it might pull the steering wheel off. That's just not working, but you can see I can get metal in the bottom. So my plan is to go ahead and cut a shape, notch out of here, cut this in half, and this should slide around that, underneath that wheel that I can get a clamp onto, and then I can pull that off with my big bearing puller. Hopefully that will work. I had this 1/2-inch bar kicking around. I'm just waiting for this to dry off before I can do some more work on this, because I've pressure washed and cleaned it all. Valves first, timing set next. Check that valve cover gasket and see what pipe they used so I can order that up too. Ooh, that's no good. That's no good. That's the tip I used last. Yeah, that was the wrong tip. Lovely. How did that happen? sure as hell haven't used a torch in a while. That was bad, but it should do the job. That was terrible. Holy crap, I'm bad at that. Let that cool off. That was bad. Whatever, as long as it does the job. It's a skill you need to use all the time in order to remember how to use it. I was just shaking like mad when I was doing my first cut, so good enough for what we need. Okay, let's see what's under our little surprise here. These were not tight at all. Ooh, that's starting to bind up right there. Why? I know why. Because that vibrated loose this year and it damaged the threads as it vibrated off. That's why. Oh, geez. These don't come out, do they? Is this a washer on here? Okay, what do we got going on here? Feel like that's this. I think that's a rubber washer. Okay. That one I assume would have some sort of seal under it. There we go. That's better. Oh yeah, that's a washer, rubber washer, rubber seal, seal. It's a seal. Good. Boy. Yeah, look at that. There's our valves. There is our valves, and here's our gasket that just, ooh. Oh, that gasket is long done. That gasket is old. Griggly, that's a word. But now we know what type of gasket it takes. So we're gonna have to, I've got a head bolt there, and there, and there, and there. How the head bolt set up? 1, 2, oh, there's even water in here? Yeah. So that valve cover was not sealing at all. I was actually getting water in here. But, head bolt there, there's a head bolt. That's gotta be a head bolt. Our cam rides along this side. So we're gonna have to probably pop this rocker off to get into the bottom of these head bolts. That oil doesn't look terrible in there, but the water getting under the valve cover definitely told me that valve cover was about cooked. We're gonna soak up as much as we can. I mean, yeah, we did pressure wash this, but it should still seal. That seal was definitely no good. How many? I got 1, 2, 3. Standard rocker. So it looks like we're on that cylinder. Oh, what a mess, man. What a mess. Go back on there. The oil looks good though, a little bit in need of a change, but it doesn't look bad. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull these rockers off before I do my adjustments so that I can get into this and check my head bolt torque, which is gonna be fun on these really long ones. I wonder how these are set up. It actually looks like this is a threaded rod, and that should thread out of there. But then we can get into here and clean this a bit better. I'm thinking not. I'm thinking 16s maybe. Oh, that seems to want to hold right there. Oh, that's not. That is. Okay, and then we need 16 it is. These are head bolts too, so head bolt, see? Should be reusable. Plug these holes, but that's fine. We don't want stuff going down this hole here because that will throw our torque off when we go to put our head bolt back in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 1. This is our cylinder. Then we got 1, 2, 3. What the? 1, 2, 4, and that. That's weird. That's a weird head bolt pattern. I'm not gonna lie. So we just got to check the torque on all these head bolts. That's why we took the rockers off. I'm going to cover this up right now because I think it's time to take a break. So I've gone ahead and I've cleaned all this up with brake clean and air. I've cleaned this hole. Is very important. You don't want any moisture in there because you'll hydrolock your bolt when you go to tighten it down. I've gone ahead and also pulled each one of my push rods. These are very nice push rods, I gotta say, for a little 3-cylinder engine. These are an oiled push rod, so there's oil goes down them. They're very heavy duty for a tractor of this size, so that's very cool to have that kind of going on there. So what that does is we've got this surfaces here. This has got to be clean. This surface has to be clean. This bolt has to be clean. This surface has to be clean. I've cleaned this mounting surface for our gasket. These bolts in my book says 43 foot-pounds. Sure, I guess. I'd figure a little bit heavier, but I think those Kubotas weren't much heavier than that. I've got to go ahead and inspect this all over here for the wear on the ends of these, and just shove those that way. The wear on the ends of these and for play in here. I'm not going to go too detailed into this. My big thing is just to double check these bolts and then get the valve clearances all set. But basically brake clean out of this as best I can. You can still see some oil residue. Oil residue is fine. It's dirt and water we don't want in here. So that's been blown off very nice. This is ready to go back together. I'm actually quite impressed with this motor the more I get into it. So there's a few things that are weird, like these two head bolts really close together, but each cylinder has 5 head bolts securing it. So the head is actually really nice and thick, and the block has a lot of nice webbing on it and is fairly serviceable. So the only thing I don't like is the shared exhaust port, and there's a shared intake runner. So I'm not too keen on that, but it's a 3-cylinder, you can make that work. Where the oil's been leaking is, you can see there's a bit of a ridge here. Well, it fills this whole area up. It returns through some of these holes here, and what ends up happening is it doesn't flow fast enough, and this area fills up with oil, and you get it running out the sides here. So that is kind of where we're at. Checked all the tops of these rockers here, make sure they're all in good shape and there's no schmoo on there. But I think we're at the point now where, oh, come on, we're gonna go ahead and set my torque wrench, and I'm gonna go check all of these fasteners that are in here to the 43 that the book says. I think it's a little light, but hey, whatever. If it works, it works. There's a lot of head bolts on there, so if it works, it works. And then I'll be happy with that, and then I can start putting that back together after inspection. So I didn't show you guys torquing these. It's 48 foot-pounds, 16 mil. Just go around 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around. I didn't do this one. They're all still tight, so we're good there. Inspecting these, there is a light bit of wear on the fronts of these rockers here that sit on top of the valves. That's why we do our valve adjustment. This has to be done to 48 as well. I've cleaned that hole out a ton. The only thing I didn't do was clean out these ports here and blow them all out, because I'd have to take the whole thing apart, and I don't really feel like undoing this snap ring and sliding all these off. There wasn't a lot of play on these, so this whole rocker pedestal hasn't worn yet too bad. So there's really not a lot I can do without taking it apart. But like I said, I'm not 100% willing to take this apart just yet. Gotta get these balls all seated on our push rods. I always have a little container like this of motor oil for lubing on top of like head bolts and stuff. And these rocker bolts, you don't want very much, just a skim coat, like that's even a lot, but good enough. And then it goes there. So yes, I do clean these first, and then I put them back on. That head bolt actually had a bit of moisture in that hole. Look at, you can sort of see how it's got the rust on the end. I've blown it out, it should be good. We're gonna go ahead and lube this up and reuse this back in there. So that, I just lube the threads lightly, you don't want too much. People do too much oil and it f***s their day up, so. You'll be able to feel if you've got too much oil in it, it will, or water, it will start to get spongy. That's never a good sign, but that seems okay. And then we can finally get to the part what I had to do. I wasn't that far off on this on the hours. It's 1,000 hours, and we're at 1,500, so we're actually not that far away from doing this work that we're actually doing right now. I did see one other thing I got to do, but I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing there, because it's a hydraulic pump rubber clutch. I'm not sure if weather's coming, so I'm trying to get this closed up today. Yeah, look how thick this rocker pedestal is, though. Yeah, if you looked at any of the videos I did on that Kubota generator, that's also a 3-cylinder, but it's only 20 to 27 horse. This is 40, so of course they built it a little heavier. There we go, 48 foot-pounds. I have a feeling these need to be that same tightness, but that's going to be hard to do because I don't have a 17 mil that's that deep. Gonna have to go a lot on feel, I guess. Okay. Now we just got to rotate this sucker over. We're getting her done, guys. We're getting her done. Maintenance on the little tractor. You got to do it on all of them. The big tractor has never had this done. I'll guarantee it. This is the only tractor. Maybe our skid steer, but I doubt it. See, that looks like that should be. Okay, I'm starting to run out of battery here, but you got to crank this over. There's a line right there. This is your timing mark. You go around until both of these are open and loose. You see, look at that. See? That's your intake. That's your top dead center, number 1 cylinder. That means your piston's all the way at the top. Both those valves are closed. We can adjust those. I gotta go charge my phone. Sup, brother Hank? Where's your brother Bobby? Okay, charging phone. Oh yeah, and I do have a manual. So let's see where I was looking here. There we go. See, change rubber hydraulic pump every 1,000 hours. Look, radiator head tightening every 1,000 hours. We're doing it. We're right there. So we're good. Maybe 500 late, but hey, that's not bad. We got our tools here for doing the valve. So 14 mil wrench, flat screwdriver, and a feeler gauge. I'm going to show you. This is exhaust intake, exhaust intake, intake exhaust, exhaust intake, and that is mostly because these two exhausts share a runner, these two intakes share a runner, so and how to balance a three cylinder motor. So these are definitely wore right out. So this is our 30 mil one. Exhaust should be 3 mil, and definitely, but intake should not be 3 mil, so 0.3 mil. So we're definitely shook out. We should be able to get that one too. Yeah. And no, I don't think we can get any of this one because of the way we're at. So that is definitely shook out. We definitely need to adjust these. I've gone ahead and cleaned off my valve cover too. This thing is damn pretty. I wish I didn't paint it over, or I had more time to wire wheel and buff and polish that out, but it's a tractor. Calm down. I think I've gone over this before. You put your feeler gauge in here. You break this loose, you turn this nut, or you turn this flat head slot here until your feeler gauge gets a bit of drag on it, and then you tighten this nut down while keeping that one spinning. Same as like the little generator I've done once. So we're not going to go over that. I'm just going to get this done, because the faster I get this done, the faster I can put this on. And the valve cover gasket. Interesting thing on that valve cover gasket, doesn't go all the way around right there because of where that bolt is. I actually put it on a few times to see if it would get further out. It just, a little bit of casting that way would have probably solved that issue and had that one seal all the way. So that's the first build quality issue I've actually seen on this tractor, which is very interesting. The valve cover gasket sits good everywhere else. The valve cover actually sits the same way. Like there's a little bit of missing, like it's just because of where they had to put that bolt. They could have done a bit of casting differences right there. So that is the first time I found something that was actually manufactured on this that I'm like, why? Maybe they fixed it on the later ones. If you got one of the later model ones after this, it still runs this B8BD40 or whatever the hell motor this is. 8C40. 8C40. So if you got one of these 8C40s in a later one, did they fix that? I don't know. I forgot to mention while I was charging my phone, my little cut tool there, my shittily cut tool, it pulled this wheel right off. So it worked just fantastic. So despite it looking like and not cutting very well, and I need a lot of work on the torch, it worked. Principle was sound. So I'm gonna go and probably undo all of this stuff here to get this pulled out. So I can maybe get this, well, just free it here to see what I'm looking at there and see what the seal looks like, because I haven't actually seen what the seal looks like in there. So I do believe I need some 10s, flat thingy to undo this. This has all been undone because that goes to the throttle linkage there. But let's go ahead and I hope I can remember where that went. Anyways, let's, oh, it goes through that little bracket there. Ooh, that wire shouldn't, or does it? No, it doesn't. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this thing off. Bracketry. Maybe we'll just undo these two big pivots. That should be all that's holding that in there. Yeah, let's undo those two big ones. 14 mil. Well, that sounded like fun. Oh, maybe not. I like it. Okay, that still might not fix my problem. It's a nice idea for a pivot though. I like that. Double shear, but still easy. Damn it. Oh, there we go. Huh. Okay. Well, from what I can tell, this isn't eating something. It's got a part number on the side. I've got to label these four deals here. Okay. It looks like this seal has definitely leaked. Definitely, I can see goop all around it. Oh, what the hell am I dealing with? That's got a shaft right there. There's no play on it, so that's good. I mean, there's in and out, but that's acceptable for that. So, oh, it actually looks like, as long as I keep, oh, everything, oh, this comes in from the left, this comes in from the right, this comes in from the right, this comes in from the left. So we'll have to deal with that. Put a container under here, but I'm happy I got that off. You can replace this whole unit. I'm just going to take the seal out of the end here, disassemble this whole thing, take this seal out, and run up to Norcan Fluid Power and get me a seal for that. That will probably save me about 800 bucks. So, yeah, think smarter, not harder. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this here. I'm going to get a picture of this part number here because I should be able to cross-reference that. I don't want to take this off just yet either. So I'm going to call that for the day. That's more than I wanted to do today. So let's just leave that at that before I get into trouble.